Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Max. Welcome to my Airsoft channel. Today what I'm going to talk about or share with you guys is my experience and just story of how I removed the orange tip off of this Umarex MP5K. As you guys know, for this particular model, the orange tip is really obnoxious and really large. Pretty much the little flash hider that was here that's usually on these MP5Ks was just, a big, just orange piece, all plastic. It wasn't really anything that was metal, and the whole thing was just fused into the gun. And, I kind of just want to share with you guys how I got that removed. Essentially, it was impossible to just take pliers and twist it off because if you guys are familiar with this model, it's like all plastic. That's my only like pet peeve with this gun is literally it's all plastic except like little pieces that are metal. So of course with doing the whole, pliers and just, some elbow grease, twisting it back and forth slowly to get it off, that was not something that was going to work for this. Again, this thing was all plastic on the inside. This orange flash hider was literally on like an extra plastic tubing. So there was like a plastic tube on the gun, maybe an inch or so long, and then they clamped the orange flash hider on there. Now, with many of you are gonna say, oh, there's a little release on that flash hider. No, let me tell you exactly what that was. That piece and with that little lever that was there to remove it, like it would on like a metal one or a real one, that was just a imitation piece. It just kind of moved up and down, but in a sense it was just a piece of plastic that was glued on. If you tried to flick it, which I tried thinking I can get it off, the thing just broke off, and it was obvious there was no piece in there that was holding it to the plastic. If you thought, oh, I'm gonna flip the lever and it's gonna come off, that wasn't the case, unfortunately. So I ended up breaking that off, and I was like, okay, wow, this is just really crappy. So the next thing I try to do is, when I still had the flash hider on the actual gun, I just took black electrical tape and I just wrapped it around to see if I liked the look. Of course, it was ugly and it just looked like crap because, again, you have a pretty large diameter towards the end and then it kind of narrows out to something a little skinnier. So as I wrapped the tape, I try to do it as fluent as possible with it trying to look, as like one piece. But with electrical tape, it kind of left the lines in the middle because of, I wasn't going to overlap more and more tape. But it's just that the borders of the tape would touch each other and you could see the crease in between. So something I didn't really like. So I just came down to it, and this is the first time I really did anything like this. I just took a coping saw and I just hacked it off, and you're looking at the beautiful masterpiece of, the final product. The thing is too, with that barrel that was out here, there was a piece of the inner barrel that was in that plastic like shielding. So I mean, it was literally probably like this much of the barrel that I also had to cut out. So I mean, if this thing had any range or any FPS to begin with, it maybe did lower it just a little bit because it did hack off some of the barrel. But again, I hardly noticed any distance decrease or power decrease. I mean, I've test fired it many times, afterwards to make sure that, there wasn't any metal, protruding inward to where it would affect the BB's trajectory. That wasn't an issue. I did a clean cut. I sanded it a little so it's smooth. So I didn't really notice anything with, a drop in distance or FPS with taking that little bit of barrel out. But I mean, in the end, this is the finished product. So let me kind of focus in on this a little bit more if I can. Okay, the brightness is like really ridiculous, but anyway, so you kind of have the idea there. You can see there is still like, it looks like a rough cut, but that's just the reflection of the light hitting it, so it looks a little bit off. But I mean, I pretty much try to do it as flat as possible with this top portion. So, I made sure I did it professionally in some aspect when I did cut it off, and that's really the only way that I was able to get it. I like the look of the flat MP5K as opposed to the flash hider. I think that's just ridiculous. I don't like that, and I was kind of looking to go for this type of look right here with no flash hider on there or anything like that. So to me, this is something that, crappy magazine wasn't in all the way. But anyway, that's kind of what I, think looks better on an MP5K. You guys might think differently. Maybe you're for that whole PDW style with the stock and the flash hider for the MP5K. I don't really like that variant, to be honest. Just looks too much for this little thing. I think just bare bones like this is fine. If you wanted something with a stock, might as well just grab the MP5 that's behind me on the wall over there. That's probably the best thing. But again, to each is their own. That's just my preference. But again, that was kind of my story with how you can remove the orange tip on this. If one of you or most of you have this gun and you're kind of stuck to and afraid to break it just by using pliers and twisting it, the easiest method is just take a coping saw, and I'm saying a coping saw because you're going to have to cut through the metal. The coping saw has little teeth, which is good for the metal. It cuts it a little easier. It cuts the plastic fine too. I just hacked it off in one go. So, that's something I could recommend if you want to get it done. It literally took me like 20 seconds to cut it off. Obviously I made sure that I did it properly so it's, lined up. Essentially it was just one cut. Then I took some maybe 100 grit sandpaper, just did a little bit and then maybe a little bit finer, go up maybe to 200 or 300 and then just smooth it around here so then it looks, it looks presentable, it looks nice. So as you can tell, it almost looks like I didn't really do anything to it. I do find it a little weird that the barrel is like, you could see it very well. Usually it's kind of buried in a little bit, but again, this is like my engineering for this gun and, bypassing that orange tip. But again, that's really what I had to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed my little story with this thing. If you guys like these kind of videos with, stories of how to get orange tips off, I have a lot of crazy crap I did to get orange tips off for a lot of my guns because some of them are just ridiculous. So if you're curious, I can definitely make more videos. You guys can let me know. Again, I had like a lot of BS, so there's a lot of guns here that I can really just talk about and just tell you how it's the worst thing in the world to take them off. But the end product is always looking good. Again, this is something I also want to just mention. It's something that you as yourself are doing. Be mindful of what you're doing, because technically removing this, it's not. Let me just mention this. It's not illegal to remove an orange tip. The only time where it's illegal to remove an orange tip is if you're going to be carrying this thing or transporting it somewhere. But if it's in, the privacy of your own home, you could remove the orange tip and, it's fine. If you're going to go to an airsoft game, you got to be smart from the beginning and have a gun bag or a gun box for this. You're not going to just take this thing, I'm going to go in the car and sit down and, just leave this thing on the seat. No, you don't want to do that. You want to treat this thing in a sense like you would a real firearm. Take some practice in that in case you ever want to, purchase a real firearm. Just learn to cover this as much as possible, because people nowadays, they don't really look for that orange tip, or they don't look for anything. They see a big black thing with a magazine, they're gonna be like, oh my goodness, this is scary. So just your own warning. Just do what you please, but think about it first before you do anything stupid when removing this. Again, I'm mainly a collector too, so these really don't go outside. I have my own private property. If I ever want to do some target practice in the back or whatever, that's my own private property. It's not anything that I need to really worry about. Or if I go to any games, I have a bunch of boxes, I have a bunch of gun bags that I use, to make sure that this is covered. But anyway, that's my little disclaimer for the end of this video. If you guys do like my videos, anything airsoft related, check me out. I have a ton of videos. I have a lot of different playlists. It kind of ranges from anything from reviews to unboxings to random experiments, with airsoft and compatibility and all that. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. You guys have a good day.